I'm Davy Hite. We're out on the water here at Lake Greenwood, and like I mentioned, I want to go over a few baits that's really helped me in my tournament success, not only this year but in years past. And first and foremost, I sure want to talk about the Mop Jig. This is a Buckeye lure Mop Jig, heavy living rubber, which is huge to my success in catching big fish in tournaments. This jig I probably made popular when I won the Clark Hill tournament in '06. I finished second there, I think in '08, two or 3 years later, just a few years ago. But this bait not only is good at Clark Hill, but it's good all over the country. The last time we were out to California, I had to call Augusta, John and Jeremy, the good guys there at Buckeye Lures, and ask them to ship me some to California, because it was, like they had never seen a bait like this, and I caught some really, really big fish. I caught 11-pounder in that tournament. There were a lot of big fish caught, but this bait will catch fish of all sizes, but it really, really is deadly for big fish. And today I've got it rigged, it's more popular just crawling this bait along the bottom like you traditionally fish jigs. But I swim this jig a lot. And when I swim this jig, I use the 1/4 ounce head a lot of times. It's 1/4 ounce Buckeye Mop Jig, and then I put a swimming Senko on it as a trailer. And I'll try to show you the action that this swimming Senko gives this bait when you're swimming it. Now, I want to show you one thing, and we'll show a couple different retrieves that I use when I'm swimming this bait. But a tournament I won not long ago on a swim bait in Alabama, and swim baits are kind of a big craze now. Chatterbaits, swim baits, those sort of things. And if you'll notice the common denominator in those baits, they have this side-to-side oscillating motion. Okay? And if you'll notice this swim bait, this swimming Senko on this Buckeye Mop Jig has that same action. This tail gives this bait that action, so you got a deadly combination. You've got that swim bait action that we're talking about, and you got the profile and the living rubber here that this Mop Jig gives you. It's an excellent way to catch big fish. So you can throw this bait out and crawl it along the bottom some. You get around a piece of cover that's up on the surface, maybe a floating dock, some willow branches that are just right in the first few inches of the water, might be 6 feet deep. But those bluegill, a lot of times, this time of year especially, you have a lot of mayfly hatch and a lot of larvae and a lot of things up high in the water column. And you can just swim this bait up high in that water column, which is a very natural looking place for a bluegill or a brim to be, which it simulates this time of year. So I'll show you a couple different kinds of actions here. And if you can get this, can you follow that? You see the way the bait it's got this side-to-side action. I'm not doing anything but pulling this bait through the water. See the way that living rubber is, the whole bait just moves side to side without doing anything but reeling the bait. And a lot of times that's all you have to do. People ask me, how do you swim a jig? Well, with that swimming Senko and with the action that living rubber gives you, literally you can just reel it back to the boat just like you would reel a crankbait. Now, obviously, if you want to give it more action, we'll pitch it out and we'll shake our rod tip. And when that bait stops, that living rubber flares. And I won't go all the way to the bottom, but if you do let it sink all the way to the bottom, it flares like that in a very defensive-looking position. Anything in nature, when it feels attacked, it's eat or be eaten in our lakes a lot of times. If you're a bluegill, you got to always be aware of the largemouth bass you're around. So many things in nature, their best defense is to try to act big and try to act mean and try to scare off the predator that's after them. And that's exactly what this Buckeye jig does when you stop the bait totally. That's as defensive as that bait can get. And silicone does not do that. Silicone does not do that. It does not have that action. Sure, I've caught a lot of fish on silicone jigs, and they have their place, I guess. But this Buckeye Mop Jig has its place in my tackle box every tournament I fish, from California to Florida, Canada, and anywhere in between. So if you haven't tried swimming a Buckeye Mop Jig, you need to do so.